Hey guys, I miss y'all so much. So I decided I would come on and make a video explaining today's assignment um, and just talking to y'all. I miss you guys. I know if y'all are anything like me, it's getting to the point where you haven't talked to anyone like in person. I think my cat is talking to me now. I mean, he's gotten to that point. So um, I am sitting outside on Wednesday. We are in this together. I'm wearing my shirt today that says that. Um, some of you are doing a great job getting your work done early and getting it done on time and completely done and everything. And so you're doing a great job. So thank you. That's most of you. Some of you are trying to turn it in without actually doing it. And that doesn't count for attendance or for a grade. So make sure you are actually completing this. So you should have already watched the video explaining this to you today, but I wanted to kind of go over some of the important quotes that come out of this, because the crisis is one of those. Well, it was a pamphlet. It was an essay written that really changed the course of history as we know it. We can definitely say that there are times where certain writings and certain videos and movies and stuff like that have changed the course of history, but the crisis is actually one of the ones that really, really inspired the nation as it was at that point during the Revolutionary War. It completely inspired a nation. And to this day, it is still getting quoted and it's still getting used in modern movies and music. And Metallica used it, and Marvel Comics used it, Winter Soldier. Uh, and so, it's one of those ones that just keeps going. And even now, through what we're going through right now, which is just something I never ever thought our country would go through, or even as the world as a whole go through, that really is the times that try men's souls. And this is when you have to step it up. And so when Thomas Paine was writing this, he really wrote this as a persuasive essay to convince the nation that this was the time. This was it. It was either now, fight, or we're going to lose. And losing wasn't an option at this point. So if you think back on the intolerable acts from Monday's assignment, some of those were huge. I mean, and I think a lot of you wrote the same thing I would have written when you said, like, there's no way I want to let somebody move into my house and feed them and clothe them and then give them access to my children. You know what I'm talking about. And then the fact that, like, so these soldiers moved in, and then they weren't held to any type of laws, and they could kind of just do what they wanted. And if anything happened, they got sent back to England, where nobody was there to defend them, or to defend you if you were the one charging them, because you couldn't afford to go back to England and say, hey, this guy messed with my wife or whatever. He beat us up or something. So the British military just kind of got away with everything. And I mean, and it was to the point, where it was like, guys, we've got to stand up and fight. This is the time. Give me liberty or give me death. And those were big words. So of course the nation went to war. We all know that. And they started fighting, and we know as well, hindsight's 2020, that wasn't going too well, pretty much anybody, but it really wasn't going well for the colonists at this point. And so George Washington kind of had to step up and say, like, what am I going to do? What am I going to say to my troops? And kind of give them a rally call, kind of like the halftime. You're losing the game, and your coach comes into the locker room and is like, hey guys, this is it. This is the time. This was a rally call. This was a halftime Hail Mary from the coach. And so George Washington used the crisis, number one, and he used it to encourage the troops and to encourage the colonists at this time. And of course, we know they ended up going and winning those battles, and it was a big deal. So I'm going to go over a couple of these, and then I'm going to have some questions at the end. Just kind of to see kind of where you stand right now and what's going on and everything. So, and I really miss you guys. So I hope you answer these truthfully and honestly. It says explain it in your own words, as you can see there. Um, but let's kind of look at some of the biggies. These are the biggies. These are the ones that get quoted that we can still use today, that you can tweet, retweet, whatever. But the first one is the very first line. It says, these are the times that try men's souls. And you have to understand that, I mean, you know, where we were and what we were doing at this point. And it was the time that I would have given up. I would have run away. I would have wanted to go home and put my feet up and get warm and anything, have a good meal. And these guys were starving to death and they were literally freezing to death. And so this was a time that would try men's souls, and it was a time that really, really, if you're going to stand up for it now. Tyranny like hell is not easily conquered. That's number 2. Tyranny, obviously talking about the British Empire at this point, and talking about the king and all the rules that he, obviously with the Intolerable Acts that he had just said. And no, like hell, I mean, it's tyranny and hell. They're not easily conquered. They're not easily something that we're going to be able to overcome and we're going to be able to fight against. It's going to be hard. It's going to be something difficult. And so, of course, he gets to number 3, and it says, the harder the conflict, the more glorious the triumph. And you guys know what this one means, that the harder you work for something, the better it's going to be when you do finally win. Those of you who have ever played any sport whatsoever, and I don't care if it's an e-sport or whatever, considering that's what we're doing right now, but you know that the harder you work for something, the better it feels when you do finally win and you beat, the Goliath of the time. And so he goes on to number 4, and you can see this all goes together. This is all within like the first paragraph of the whole thing. What we obtain too cheap, we esteem too lightly. 'Tis dearness only that gives everything its value. I think you guys are at the point in your life where you're starting to understand this concept, and you're starting to understand that the stuff that you're paying for yourself, whether it's monetary or whether it's with your time or whether it's with anything that you're giving of yourself, we cherish that stuff. We cherish that much more greatly than something that's just given to us. Some of you work really, really hard, and you know that when you work hard for something and it comes to fruition and you get this wonderful, wonderful thing out of it, that it holds more value. The first thing you buy, you're like, this is mine. I bought this with my own money. So birds and everything chirping again today. So number 5 says, let me scroll a little bit. A generous parent should have said that if there must be trouble, let it be in my day, that my child may have peace. And he's quoting, he heard somebody say that, oh, I don't want to fight and whatever, but he's like, no, that's not a real parent. Let's fight now. Let's not give this to our children. Let's get this fought now. Let's get over it. Let's become independent. Let's not be part of the British Empire any longer. And so if you don't want your children to have to struggle for something, and you definitely don't want them to have to struggle for freedom. And so he says this, as an encouragement that that these men needed to step up now and not give this to our children. I'm going to do everything I can to make sure that JD and Nick have the best life they can. And I'm not going to say, oh, well, they can handle it when they get older. But, as a parent, I want my child to have peace. I want them to be healthy. I want them to be free. I don't want them to be slaves to Britain, as he was saying. And he says in there, nothing can reach a heart that is stilled with prejudice. I think some of you actually understand this more than others. That we have people in our lives that are very, very prejudiced and they're very racist. And, once you find out somebody's like that, you're not going to be able to reach them. So he's trying to tell them, just like, let's fight for this. Let's fight for our own freedom, because we're never going to be able to fight for other things. So I'm going to skip a couple so you can figure those out. Not all the treasures of the world could have induced me to support an offensive war, for I think it murder. But if a thief breaks into my house, burns and destroys my property, and kills or threatens to kill me or those that are in it, and to bind me in all cases whatsoever to his absolute will, am I to suffer it? Would you sit there after somebody came and broke in your house? No. Would you let them hurt the people in your house? No. All of us would fight for it. We'd fight for the freedom of our actual home. And he's talking about the freedom of the actual country, and it was such a big deal, and it was so important for this country. Well, it wasn't a country at that point, but for the colonies to get together and to fight, and for these soldiers to keep going. And one of the things that I don't have in here is about the summer soldier and the winter soldier. And yes, I watched Captain America, Winter Soldier the other day, and of course, as somebody who knew this, I was laughing at the title, going, "I know what he's talking about." But they actually did like literal Winter Soldier, and the guy was like, in the snow and whatever. But there was the relationship there that a summer soldier is easy. A summer soldier, it's easy for us to go outside right now and to play outside when it's warm and it's nice and it's beautiful and the birds are chirping and whatever. But a winter soldier, which is what these guys were in this actual time, a winter soldier was somebody that really had it tough, that had this really, really big hardship that they were going to have to fight through. That it wasn't just the battle itself, and it wasn't just the bullets, and it wasn't just the cannons, and it wasn't just, the actual battle itself, but actually the time. And I want y'all to think about that as far as your life right now. I mean, we're going through an unprecedented time in life. Something that we never could have said, give me 5 months ago, I would have never said we're going to be home and we're going to be doing this. And this isn't the way I am. You guys know that we are talking people, and we're communicating. We communicate with each other and all that. So, you are kind of in a winter right now. It's something that we're going to have to fight through, and we're going to have to really step up. And not be a coward, and grow from this distress, and gather strength, and grow brave by reflection. We're going to get through this together. And it's not easy, and we are definitely in the middle of a winter soldier fight. And I love you guys, and I miss you with all my heart. And I hope you made it through this whole video. I haven't made one this long in a long time. But I just want y'all to know that, you're going to make it. And in the future world, in the depth of this winter, when nothing but hope or virtue could survive, that you came forth and you met this battle and you repulsed it, and you fought it with everything you had in your soul. And that you're going to be able to tell your children and your grandchildren about this time that, we're in this lockdown, and we're in this winter battle, and we're in something that nobody understands and everybody's scared about. But you made it. You made it. You're a winter soldier. And so, I'm proud of you guys for doing your stuff and doing your work and sticking with it, and just being the kid that, well, you're almost grown adults, but you know what I mean. Y'all are amazing, and I'm very, very proud of you, and I love you, and I miss you. So I will talk to you guys later.